And the quote goes like this: sometimes you go to what you go through to realize that you're not ready to be in the place that you're supposed to be at. My point being that sometimes failures are actually wins. You have to fail in order to know what successful looks like, or success looks like. Not successful, but yes, you get the point. You have to fail in order to know what success looks like and what it means. So failures aren't always failures; they're actually wins. You can't succeed or you can't enjoy success if you don't even know what failure is. But you need to let failure drive you. Now that I remember, that's actually a quote from my best friend. It's a person like saying that. They always say, "My biggest learning, or my biggest my she says my biggest learning curve has always been failure. That's her biggest drive. When she fails, she gets up 10 times harder, and she just learns, and that's just how it is. You learn from your mistakes. You look at me, you think I was always good at talking. I mean, granted, I love talking, but being in front of the mic and talking to you right now using my on my podcast, it took a lot. I remember doing my first episode. I think I recorded it almost 20 times, 25 times. I'm like, nah, I don't like this. I don't like this. It sounds bad. It sounds bad. It sounds bad. To the point where I got comfortable talking. And I just had to let it out, and it was what it was. But it took time. It took effort. But that's the thing about failure. You can't be afraid to fail. Which brings me to my next point. I feel like this generation, our generation, we love looking like we're successful. And social media feeds into that. Like, social media will make you feel like, someone looks like they're popping in life. They post one little post that look like this. You wearing Jordans. You wearing a good shirt, and it's like, damn, he got it bad. He got it in the back. For a good example, you ever been on on Snapchat, and you'll watch someone's Snapchat, and then maybe it looks like they're at a party and they're partying it up. They look like, oh my god, they got it going on. Like, that looks fun. That's the place I want to be. But if someone could show you behind the scenes what it looks like, it's just a highlight. But where they actually are isn't even all that. They're probably not even having fun. But the social media account on Snapchat makes them look like they're having a blast. Like, oh my god, it's a place to be. So we love to look like we're successful, or we love to look like what we're doing is the biggest thing, and we're such bandwagons. We follow everyone else is doing. Like, someone else is doing this, I want to do this. And it's like, the best gift that you have in this world is yourself. God created you to be your own person. And what you can bring to this world, finding your passion, finding what you're good at, and bringing that to the surface, and allowing that to manifest, is the best thing that you can offer this world. Not anyone else, not following what anyone else does, but being yourself, being your most authentic self. Because you can't copy that. You can't. You cannot copy. Like, there is no other Abraham. It's just me. Me. Can't nobody ever be me. And if I'm being my most authentic self, you cannot replicate that. You can try, but I promise you can't be Abraham. Abraham is Abraham. So, I guess what I'm trying to tell you is this: learn to be the best version of yourself, and let people fall in love with that. Those who can't fall in love with that, then for a fact they're not meant to be in your life. They're not. People who love you will do anything to stay in your life. Those who don't, you just gotta cut them out. And I even more, I called that the gap. I heard this term from believe it or not, Snoop Dogg. He was talking about the gap. Life is like a gap. The more you grow, this starts happening. You grow from people and you grow away from them. And as you're in the place, sometimes being a good person, of course, if you are reaching success, sometimes you want to come back and uplift those you left behind, your friends. But what ends up happening is that some people, they'll come with you and others won't. But what you cannot do is you cannot lower yourself back to this level when you're here. So you got to continue. And that's where the gap comes from. You create a gap. You go here and some stay here. And in life, that's what has to drive you. You can only do so much, but you can't bring yourself down. Because those whom you try to help, or your friends, your family, you know, they don't want the help, and you can't stay there. And it is the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing. The most difficult thing. Realizing that sometimes you even have to leave family members behind. Because you know what they say, blood is thicker than water, right? So if blood is thicker than water, why would you ever, you can't leave blood behind. But sometimes you have to, for your own happiness and for your own self-worth, and for you to be happy and to be in a place where you're at peace. Sometimes blood must be left behind. Me personally, sometimes I don't think blood is thicker than water, because I feel like we define what blood is. Just because you're related to someone doesn't make them your family. So, on the journey to finding your peace, your happiness, and your success, not being in a place where you're living in a shadow of what success looks like, but actually real success. And success always has to be your definition of it, not what someone else thinks, but your own definition. On that journey, as you're on that journey, you have to always do what's best for you, and you have to put your foot down. And trust me, it is easier said than done. Always. When a tree is growing, it has different seasons. You have leaves, you have branches. And the hardest thing for a tree to do for a tree is cutting off a branch, because you never know if a branch is dead and you need to cut it off. The one thing you can never cut off a tree is the roots. Leaves, they blow off themselves, but a branch is so hard to cut off, because sometimes you don't even know if it's dead. And that's the same thing with family. Sometimes you don't know if your family members, the uncles, the aunties, the cousins, even your siblings, or sometimes you don't know if they're toxic to you. And even more, even if you do know, sometimes you don't want to cut them off. But that's what it is. You have to be in a place where you have to make those choices, but they have to be for you. You have to be the center of your happiness. Can't nobody else in this world give you happiness. They can't offer it to you apart from yourself. Nobody else in this world is ever going to do that for you. You have to be the one to do it for yourself. And you got to go get it. And trust me, the first step, the first time that you step out and you say, or you look happy, or you're in a place where happiness starts to come. Oh my God. This is the part where people come in and they want to go like, yeah, aske yishi mo muntu. We was kweli hejuru y'abandi, this and that. They'll be like, oh my God, she thinks she's all that. He thinks he's all that. He thinks he's all, he's above everybody else. And in reality, you're only just trying to manifest your happiness. It's all that you're doing, just trying to manifest your happiness. But people would take it so negatively. Again, this is where I say you have to recognize if those people, when they leave, cut them off. Cut them off. And continue. Do not let that degrade you, downgrade you, or slow you down on your journey to finding your happiness. You've got to do what is best for you at all times. And those blessings that God will want to be in your life, the people that God wants to be in your life will always be there. But those who are not meant to be, You got to recognize. You have got to recognize when someone is a leaf in your life. You got to recognize when someone is a branch in your life. And you have most definitely got to recognize when someone is a root in your life. Everybody plays a role. And it goes both ways. You play that same role to some people's lives. You can't be a root in everyone's life. You know? So it's difficult, but it's doable. But that's the kind of place where you have to be, and that's what you have to want. Quishida in a position to where what's best for you comes first. And I remember I wrote this quote on my platform. Shout outs to my platform. You can go follow it on IG at Abe2_O. The quote said this: "There is no such thing as a late blessing. No such thing as a late blessing. When a blessing comes, a blessing comes. It comes. You gotta accept it, and it's never late. You know." I'm a very strong believer in God. I believe in my God. I love my God, and I have a lot of faith. And I truly believe that when God gives you a blessing, or blesses you with the blessing, or honors you with the blessing, that blessing comes when He needs to be there, and you have to accept it. Not only accept it, don't take it for granted. You should never be in a place where you go, "Oh my God, I've been waiting for this and that." Because here's one thing, my dear. Let me tell you something. Nobody can accuse me. And I want you to listen to this very, very well. God will always give you what you need and when you need it, not what you want. Necessity is more important in this life than want. What you need in life is always more important. The only thing is that we become little babies and crybabies when we don't get what we want. This is the only reason why people go like, "Oh my God, God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you forgotten about me? Why this and that? Why?" Because you are forgetting that, you know, that God is actually looking out for you. You know, patience is a virtue. Be patient. Sometimes God places you in a moment or a place because you're not in a place where you're ready to fully accept His blessing. So you have to go through trials and tribulations that will prepare you to be in a place where you can actually accept His blessing when His blessing truly does come. That has to be your drive at all times. Be patient. Do what is best for you. And make sure that your roots are always watered, so your flowers will bloom when it is time. You feel me? Speak it into existence and be the center of your happiness. I ain't gonna say much more. Thank you so much for listening. This has been A True Perspective from yours truly, Abe. Y'all have a good one. You feel me? All right.